10 potential WWE main roster general managers. Number 10. Sting. We haven't seen the icon Sting make much of an impact in WWE since he announced his in-ring retirement during the WWE Hall of Fame induction speech due to an injury suffered in his match against Seth Rollins. But that doesn't mean that he can never be used again. Sure, everyone would have loved to have seen Sting in another match, but it simply wasn't to be. However, fans had to wait so many years to just see him in WWE that it seems a shame to never use him on TV again, just because he can't wrestle. This is where a GM role would fit perfectly for him, as Sting wouldn't have to get physical like Daniel Bryan or how Paige is doing her job now. It would mean he works a fairly light schedule and provides fans a chance to see a legend, a winning situation all around. Number 9. Vince McMahon. If WWE ever wants to change things up with his current general managers, then why not go to one of the greatest of all time and the man who is the genius behind the entire company, Vince McMahon himself. In terms of simply being a boss on screen, nobody does it better than Vince. His character is so well rounded that no work would be needed, and he's at every single show anyway, so it means they don't have to pay anyone extra to do the job. Vince can work as a babyface or as a heel, as he can turn a crowd with ease and simplicity. And a feud against Vince is always considered a big deal. Before he eventually walks away from the business, it would be great to see one more permanent on-screen role, and this is the best way to do that. Number 8. The Bella Twins. This would be something totally different for WWE, having two people be the general manager at the same time with Nikki and Brie Bella. The Bella Twins are two of the most popular female talents in recent years, and both have huge fan bases and plenty of talent, which would make them great fits for the role. They're comfortable portraying heels or baby faces, which is another bonus to them. And if WWE wants to keep pushing the women's division, then this would be a cool step for that, much like Paige being the GM right now. Number 7. Jeff Jarrett. It came as a major surprise to most people when Jeff Jarrett was announced for the 2018 Hall of Fame. Given his history and seemingly terrible relationship with Vince McMahon, it was a name that most people had accepted would never be announced. Yet here we are with Jarrett, the man who created TNA as a WWE Hall of Famer, appearing on the WWE Network and back in the good graces of the company. Jarrett has an excellent mind for the business and is one of the absolute best out there, which is why he would make for a brilliant general manager. If WWE wanted to continue using Jarrett moving forwards, a GM role seems like the one that would suit him. As someone who is comfortable on the microphone and can still take a bump, he would be a great fit for the position. Number 6. Drake Maverick. Drake Maverick is doing a great job right now as the GM of 205 Live, but the problem is that not many people are getting to see how talented he is, because he is on 205 Live and it isn't watched by that many fans. Maverick is fantastic on the microphone and brilliant in backstage segments where he does a great job at coming across as a general manager, creating matches and giving opportunities, which he then follows up on social media, constantly promoting the brand like any really GM would do. Number 5. Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff is back in the good grace of the company and is being used again rather frequently on the WWE Network, which means he has a working relationship with Vince McMahon, and therefore the possibility of them working together isn't too far-fetched. Bischoff was one of the very best GMs in WWE history and someone who really managed to get some heat while in the job, which is something that the GM needs to do if they're playing the heel. It would be cool to see him come back, and fans are smart enough to know who he is. And it would make a nice change from simply having a former wrestler in the role, which is what WWE has done since the brand split returned. Number 4. Paul Heyman. Who knows what the future holds for Brock Lesnar as far as professional wrestling goes. With the Beast seemingly hoping for another run back in UFC, it feels like his time with WWE is slowly coming to an end. With Lesnar leaving, there's a chance that Paul Heyman will go with him, and while he might support Lesnar in his venture back to MMA, he certainly isn't going to follow him there, which opens up opportunities to use Paul E in a different way. A perfect role for him would be the GM role, which he has done a solid job before. But what would be even better at now? The role is mainly promo oriented, and considering Heyman is the best promo in the entire company right now, it would make perfect sense for him to be the man for the job. Number 3. Hulk Hogan. Many fans are hoping for a Hulk Hogan return at some point in the near future, and it seems like every week there are more and more rumors about the Immortal One making his return to the company, and this role is the one that could be the best for him. When Daniel Bryan left the SmackDown GM role, Hogan was a name that immediately came up, so you can expect the same if anyone else ever leaves their position. Putting him in this role would allow WWE to slowly bring him back, being able to gauge how much that fans are willing to welcome him back. There's always going to be a section of people who never want to see Hogan again, and understandably so, but there is no doubt that there is also many who do want to see him back, and it seems clear WWE is working out a potential way to bring him in at some stage. Number 2. William Regal. If WWE ever wanted to change things up, In terms of his general managers, they might not need to look very far, as there's a perfectly good option already within the company, with NXT GM William Regal being an excellent option should WWE choose to take it. Regal's approach in NXT is very different to what tends to happen on the main roster, in the sense that he doesn't often get involved in storylines, simply acting as a true GM would, making matches and only really appearing to make massive announcements or to oversee contract signings. This would be a very different route for the main roster to take, but it could be very refreshing, using Regal when needed, allowing more time for the wrestlers to perform, and changing up the same old routine of opening segment promos from general managers, which is something that is really needed right now. Number 1. Triple H. When it comes to who might logically become a general manager in the near future, then few make more sense than current WWE COO Triple H as the husband of Raw Commissioner Stephanie McMahon. The story writes itself, doesn't it? Stephanie finally managed to get rid of Kurt Angle and brings in her husband to run the ship, exactly how she would want it. Would it be popular? Absolutely not. But it would gain the major heel heat that the company would be looking for with this move. Fans getting to see a legend like Triple H every week isn't exactly a bad thing. Another major bonus for putting Triple H in the role is he has backstage control, meaning he can ensure that storylines go the way he would like, and the fact that he is someone who could potentially get physical in a storyline against a wrestler, which is a big addition that would create something very entertaining.